You know, the use of the ninth enharmonic sequence where you get the ninth and seventh. So he gives us the theory of it, but not, he doesn't show us how anybody used it. He might have had a hard time finding somebody that used it. Maybe somebody a little more modern or impressionistic or more modern.
It sounded to me a lot like another Hallmark Hall of Fame kind of sound.
Oh, okay.
Does it?
Yep.
Sort of?
Well, that's the jazz.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're scoring with a little more of a pop or jazz influence. No, as long as people have heard the Hallmark Hall of Fame productions, they'll know what you're talking about otherwise. And that's the chapter on the nine, so there's not much to it. Wouldn't expect it to be very difficult. Which brings us to chapter 11, chords and progressions in special situations. Now, this is the bottom drawer. This is, he's now almost officially run out of categories. So he's going to, in this chapter, he's going to say, well, here's everything else, but I can't really categorize it under one category. So it's kind of shotgun and scattered. And that's all right. And in the next chapter, he talks about the end of the 19th century and beginning of new directions. This would be late Romantic composers who start to incorporate ideas that would later come to fruition in the 20th century as be reused as kind of atonal things. Then he has the chapter on Debussy, I think.
Serial.
Yeah. No, before that is Debussy and Impressionism, where once again, Debussy, that's the latest in the Romantic you could get, because Debussy lived into the 20th century. So a lot of the things that Debussy used, they were tonal, but they stretched tonality so much that the modern composers used them in an atonal way, like a whole tone scale. So they just put that together in a chapter. And after that, I think we're just talking about modern music. Yes, and we're talking about modern music. So from chapter 15, I'm not really asking you that on the final. So at that point, I'll give you some piece to. Did anybody think of a piece that they like?
Mozart's Piano Concerto, number 17.
Is that the one in C?
I think it's in G major.
G major. Can you hum a little bit? No.
Can you play a little bit?
No.
17. The reason I ask is it's not the Elvira Madigan one. It's not the dum, da, 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 that one. Might be that one. That one's in C major though. Okay, Mozart, G major, number 17, piano concerto. And you first movement. Okay. The piano concertos are a little bit different than symphonies, and they have a double exposition. They have the orchestra play the theme, and then the solo instrument plays. It's like a repeat, but with different instruments playing on it. But we can still do it. And Stephen, the guy in that little lens in there, he came up with 2 examples. Two suggestions. But I'll bring the suggestions together. We can decide which one. One was Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker. Nutcracker, but that's more of a suite rather than large work. The other one was, I don't remember it, but okay, I'll bring that suggestion. Anybody else think of anything?
No, vocabulary.
Do you ever analyze
Modern?
like maybe something like the Spider-Man?
Oh, something in a movie? If we could get some music for it, we could. Trouble is, you have to be careful if you buy like a piano rendition. They sell more if they simplify it. So they simplify rhythms and harmonies so that high school kids can play it. But if you can find something that's pretty close to what's being done, that would be something nice to analyze. Because you know, TV commercials, movies and stuff, they've really stayed tonal after the 20th century. So they're still out there being tonal, except for the slasher movies, which are lovely tonality. But the like the Spider-Man things, that might be something we could look at. I don't know if that would be for the big project, but I mean, it would certainly be a fun thing to look at just to see what they're doing. Sometimes in movies, I think I've told you, well, more in TV than movies, is I hear cliches, like tritones floating around for, you know, the bad guy with a knife in the shadows or something like that. Movies, they usually get better people. TV, you know, a weekly series, you're told on Monday you have to have all the music ready, on Wednesday you go into the studio. I mean, you just don't have time to reinvent the wheel. But a movie, there have been a new breed of movie composers that are really taking this serious. I thought actually the movie music for Matrix was very interesting. There was a movie, it wasn't a big hit, The Ghost. Catherine Zeta-Jones' husband. It was a hunter in Africa, the ghost and the something. They were hunting a lion or something. But I heard some of the music for that, and I thought it was really incredible. And there's some really good stuff. There's some young composers who were like, okay, here's the Romantic period, and then we went modern, and so they're this direct link to, they're trying to establish the late Romantic. It's like they're trying to take Romantic beyond what it was. I think that's very interesting.
That's
You know,
an older movie.
Clint Eastwood does his own. Did you know that, his own composing?
But he likes jazz. His is more
Okay.
jazz.
Because I just bought the CD of Flags of Our Fathers. I haven't listened to it yet.
Ah.
But he and his son, I think, composed the music for that. So
He's a real jazz aficionado. If you listen back to, ever since he started directing, he really loved picking music that he likes. And putting it in. All right. If you think of any more of those, because we still have a little bit to read before we start analyzing those. So page 315, every single thing he's going to mention now is completely unrelated to the previous hit that he'll mention. So it's not like it's a category. He's just cleaning out the bottom drawer and saying, oh, by the way, you should know this about this. Strikes me as odd that the first thing he mentions is something we already know, maybe because I've been mentioning it. But the subtonic, the lowered 7, we've had that, right? I keep talking about that, subtonic. So you're in the key of C. Your leading tone diminished should be B, D, F. If you lower the B to a B flat, it's a change of mode. You borrowed that from minor. You have B flat, D, F. That's a major triad. I think I've talked about that before.
I can't remember.
Well, he talks about it. Some less common
Is that a
chords.
flat chord? What they could consider a flat chord?
Yes, you can call it a flat 7,
Right.
or just a 7 with a change of mode. So, and it's very easy to use. If you're in C, our 7 diminished is B, D, F. So if you just borrow that B flat from C minor, it becomes a major 7. Now, you can write this 2 different ways. You'll see this quite a bit. It's called flat 7, and we call it subtonic. It's no longer leading tone, but we call it subtonic. It's borrowed from the minor. There's one other way you can analyze it. You can do it like that, or you have to make that a capital 7, and you can put a change of mode under it, like that. Either way. But that results in a rather interesting and dramatic sound. Let's see. Here's key of C. Here's tonic, subtonic. Here's the flat 7, subtonic. And from there, if you go to the dominant,